Hey Freedom Lovers, welcome back to another Leftover Makeovers. I'm really excited that you guys are enjoying this. So we're gonna do another one. So yesterday, before we left for church, I threw in some Mississippi chicken in the crock pot. And I remembered that I had some baked beans in the freezer. So I thawed them out and cooked them up. And we had that alongside our Mississippi chicken. So this is what is actually left over from yesterday's lunch. So it's time for us to eat. We're actually eating early because we ate breakfast late this morning. So I'm going to do a leftover makeover with this. It's going to be very simple. These are baked beans that are seasoned really well. And then I've got a pound of ground beef that I had thawed out, which you all saw for the baked macaroni that I did. And we're gonna do cowboy beans. And then I've got a couple of things that I'm gonna put with it. So keep watching. Over medium heat, I melted a couple of tablespoons of bacon grease and I diced up a few green onions and I'm just popping them in there to get sauteing. While my onions are sauteing, I start the batter for hoecakes, and this is going to go alongside our cowboy beans. It's a really great rustic fun meal. So what I did and I'm sorry that I didn't angle the camera where you can see it, but in my bowl I've got 2 cups of self-rising cornmeal. I add an egg, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon or so of bacon grease, some salt, and then I made up some cooking milk earlier that day with just dry powdered milk and some water, and I'm using that to cook with instead of using the milk that's in the refrigerator. I add just enough milk to make the consistency about the same as pancake batter, and quite honestly I needed to add a little more, but I didn't, and so my hoecakes end up pretty thick, which is fine. They're still good, but I do like mine a little thinner. Now that my green onions are nice and tender, I add my ground beef. I season the beef to taste with salt and pepper. Very simple. While my ground beef is browning and before I start cooking my hoecakes, I want to go ahead and get some broccoli going in the oven for roasted broccoli. You guys know, if you've been watching this for any length of time, that I love broccoli. Steamed broccoli with butter and salt and pepper is probably my most favorite way to eat it, but roasted broccoli is a very close second. It is so good. So what I'm going to do in a mixing bowl is I'm going to put in my frozen broccoli florets. I'm going to drizzle it with maybe 1/4 of a cup or so of olive oil, then season it with salt and pepper. Very simple. And then I'm going to put it in the roasting pan in a single layer and then put it in the oven. I think it probably roasted for about 30 minutes since they were frozen, but you just want to keep an eye on it. You just want it to get caramelized and real tender, and man, is it good. Before I was able to start on the hoecakes, I saw that my ground beef was finished browning. So I'm going to show you what I do to make cleanup a little bit easier when working with ground beef. I just have a bowl and I'm lining it with aluminum foil, and I put my colander on top. And then this is how I drain it. That way the aluminum foil catches the grease, and then after the grease cools and solidifies, I just put it in the trash. If I have an empty tin can, then I will drain the grease in the tin can, but I didn't have one on this day. So this is what I do instead. So once I've drained the grease, I return the meat back to the skillet and I cut the heat down to low. Then I add my baked beans, and you just want to stir it to get everything incorporated and then just warm it up. You're not cooking it, you're just warming it up. Now I am going to finally get started on the hoecakes, which is fine. These don't take very long to cook, so it's okay that the last thing that I'm working on. So my skillet has preheated over medium heat, and I have just poured some bacon grease into the griddle and letting it heat up. And I'm just using, I think it was like a 1/4 cup. Not that that matters, but that's what I'm using to just measure out the cakes. And then of course, just like you would pancakes, you brown them on both sides and they're great. Cowboy beans are done. I'm just keeping them hot. Still working on hoecakes, and the broccoli is not quite done, but it's getting there. I think everything's gonna be done about the same time. So just as I pulled the last hoecake off the stove, the broccoli is getting very, very close to being done. And I decided at the last minute that before I proclaimed them finished, I wanted to sprinkle them with Parmesan cheese and then put them back in the oven for about 6 more minutes. All right, dinner's ready. Let's plate it up. I'm gonna do the hoecake that I've been nibbling on, and quite honestly, these are a lot thicker than how I normally make it, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna put my hoecake down. I'm gonna put my beans on top of it, and then some roasted broccoli with Parmesan cheese. It doesn't look like a lot, but that's a very filling meal. I'm gonna get a fork. Hello again. To recap, we have hoecakes, cowboy beans, and roasted broccoli, which really normally I would like something like coleslaw to go with the cowboy beans because it's kind of like in the barbecue family, but still this is gonna be good. And I wanted a green vegetable to go with this. Very, very good. And honestly, you could even do like a themed dinner night if you wanted to with cowboy beans. You could serve it in pie pans. And then watch a Western with your family. Now for the roasted broccoli. Broccoli is my most favorite vegetable. I'm pretty sure I've told y'all that like a million times, but it really is. Okay, for dinner's ready and my crew's hungry. It is New Year's Eve. So tomorrow, if there's any of the hoecakes left, we're definitely gonna have them with supper tomorrow because I do have some white bean soup that I'm gonna make using the ham bone that I saved. I don't know if I'm gonna use the ham bone or if I'm just gonna use chunks of ham, we'll see. But, and then we'll just serve this right along with it. I hope you guys are continue to enjoy the Leftover Makeover. I wasn't planning on it being a series, but it is because you guys really love it and you're asking for more. But since we're doing this low spend challenge due to the government shutdown affecting my husband's job, I will keep bringing these meals to you as much as I can. So thank you all so much for being encouraging and supportive in the comment section. And until next time.